Hello there, you're watching the news at 8. I'm Maha Siddiqui. First, the headlines. The massive human tragedy in Joshimath expressed in tears. Evacuees break down as they leave their homes behind. Dismantling of 2 multi-storied hotels deemed dangerous starts. Chief Minister Dhami meets locals and experts to decide on final compensation rate. From the north to the south, India's IT city Bengaluru faces abject civic apathy. A road caves in, injuring a biker 2 days after a woman and a 3-year-old are killed as a metro pillar harness falls on them. Army chief's word of caution. Situation along the northern borders with China is under control but still unpredictable. General Manoj Pande stresses on the need to remain alert, saying the ceasefire on the LOC with Pakistan has held, but neighbours' support to terror infrastructure and terror outfits is persistent. The global south should shape the emerging world order, says Prime Minister Modi as he inaugurates the Voice of the Global South Summit. India invites 120 countries to brainstorm issues and solutions that have hit the developing world. The voice to find a way to the G20 summit under India's presidency. Inflation falls to a one-year low of 5.72% in December. Inflation eases on the back of softening prices of food items, though rural areas see higher inflation as compared to urban. NDTV's special ground report: how Kaziranga has ensured zero rhino poaching last year. India's Hockey World Cup trial starts tomorrow to face Spain in a tricky opener. India seeks a podium finish after 48 years. Our top 2 stories tonight from north to the south, the crumbling cities in India. Saurav Shukla bringing up the human angle of the unfolding tragedy in Joshimath due to the subsidence, and Shrija is joining us with the civic mess in India's IT city, Bengaluru. So let's first talk about Joshimath, where authorities started dismantling 2 multi-storied hotels deemed unsafe after the soil shifting. The process resumed after a revised compensation deal for residents, as hundreds protested, saying that they were not being paid enough compensation. The Chief Minister also held a meeting with the locals and experts on compensation rates, saying that the initial amount of 1.5 lakh rupees to the affected families was only a temporary measure. Saurav Shukla will give us more details on this. Saurav, what about the compensations later on, the rates? Have they already been fixed or are they being worked upon? What did the Chief Minister tell you in the conversation you had with him today?
So, CM Pushkar Dhami reached Joshimath yesterday evening, and he was here till afternoon, and he held several rounds of meetings with locals, with authorities, and they have decided to transfer 1.5 lakh rupees immediately to 731 affected family. So that is an interim package, and tomorrow there's going to be a cabinet meeting in Dehradun where the final compensation will be decided, Maha. So it's going to be a very crucial, important cabinet meeting which is going to be held tomorrow. So now with this 1.5 lakh interim package, people seem to be unhappy because there are more than 200 families which were evacuated, and the cracks are getting widened, and that is the major problem. I'll just show you a picture. We are standing in Shankaracharya temple, and you can see it was just raining and it just stopped, and the temperature is dipping, which is a major cause of worry for officials and the people of Joshimath. The snowfall is there on the mountains. Snowfall held today in the morning in Oli, which is 12 kilometers ahead of Joshimath, and the forecast of snowfall is there in Joshimath as well, and it's going to affect the rescue operation. And experts are also studying, Maha, can this rain cause more land subsidence? And if it happens, it is a major cause of worry for administration and the people of Joshimath. Number 2, And number two, the most important, people are now getting shifted to other safer locations. They are still waiting that this 1.5 lakh is not going to be enough for them, and they are waiting for tomorrow's decision after the cabinet meeting, that the final package. So we have spoken to several stakeholders today, some emotional ground reports as well, and believe me, it is going to be a difficult year for Joshimath. Let's see this report from Joshimath.
Cranes helping empty out these two Joshimath hotels that are dangerously tilting towards each other as their dismantling finally started today after the hotel owners agreed to the government's offer of enhanced compensation. It will take a full week for the hotels in a town facing a massive land subsidence crisis to be brought down. Workers using cutters will dismantle the hotels manually. The human cost of the Joshimath crisis and the loss of homes deemed unfit by the administration have been too much to bear for people like 45-year-old Sulochna. A daily wager whose children crush stones for a living.
बच्चे बेरोजगार हैं, दूसरों के गांव में जाके क्या हम रोजगार कर सकेंगे? पत्थर फोड़ते हैं मेरे बच्चे, तब खाते हैं हम खाना। मैं लकड़ी बेचती हूँ, घास बेचती हूँ, तब अपना गुजारा करते हैं। अपने गांव में तो चल जाता है गुजारा, दूसरों के गांव में चले जाएगा गुजारा? नहीं चलेगा भैया। हमारे तो कोई समझ में नहीं आ रही, हम क्या करें, कहाँ जाएं?
But how big is the land subsidence damage in Joshimath? The Uttarakhand Chief Minister Pushkar Dhami told NDTV today that a massive 25% or 1/4 of buildings in the hill town are damaged.
भाग्य से कहिए कि यहाँ पर आपदा आई है और लगभग 600-700 मकान हमारे उस आपदा के प्रभाव में आए हैं, आपदाग्रस्त हुए हैं, कहीं नुकसान हुआ है। लेकिन चूँकि ये जो परसेंटेज है वो 20-25% है पूरे जोशीमठ का।
Another big worry, saving the crucial army base in Joshimath and the highway that leads to the border with China. The army chief today said over 25 military installations in and around Joshimath have sustained medium to minor damage, and that some troops have been relocated from areas surrounding Joshimath.
तकरीबन 25 से 28 वहाँ पे जो बिल्डिंग्स है उसमें कुछ तरह से माइनर क्रैक्स पाई गई है, जिसके फलस्वरूप हमने वहाँ के इन यूनिट्स को या जवानों को कहीं टेम्पररीली रीलोकेट किया है।
Dismantling of these two hotels is underway, but it will take 7 days. And in these 7 days, administration will be on its toes because it has started raining in Joshimath and forecast of snowfall is also there, which will affect the rescue ops, and experts are suspecting it may increase land subsidence. In Joshimath with Pawan Kumar, Saurabh Shukla for NDTV.
On the other hand, in Bengaluru, a man was injured after a portion of the road caved in Shoolay Circle in central Bengaluru. The man was riding his bike on Brigade Road when the portion of the road caved in the central business area of the city. This comes 2 days after a woman and a 3-year-old child died as a metro pillar harness fell over them at an under-construction area. Shrija is joining us with more on this. Shrija, do we know the possible reason for this sinkhole creation? What are authorities saying?
Well, unfortunately, the place, especially the road that caved in, so underground there's already a metro tunnel boring which is still underway. But as far as the executive director of the BMRCL, which is the Bengaluru Metro Rail official, now he goes on to state that he has absolutely no clue why exactly did the road cave in. Now we have to look at this way because the place exactly where the road cave in happened, 30 feet below that is where the tunnel boring is happening. As far as the metro official, he says there is no way that the road cave-in can happen due to the metro construction work which is still underway because it is only 30 feet below as far as the road cave-in is concerned. Now where exactly and how exactly did this road cave-in happened. We see that that's because of the loose soil. The soil had loosened and there was a collection of rainwater, and that could have been one of the major reasons. This is something prima facie as far as the metro officials are concerned, because after which, once the road had caved in, they had called the workers to the spot and they filled that particular road cave-in with concrete. But more importantly, this particular road is being laid by especially the BBMP, the civic authorities. So clearly there's lack of coordination between the government agencies itself. Back to the studio.
All right, Shrija, very disturbing situation there in the IT city with the kind of civic apathy that is being witnessed over the last couple of years there. Many thanks, Shrija, for getting us those details. Army Chief General Manoj Pande has said that the situation along the northern borders with China is under control but still remains unpredictable. He also stressed on the need to remain alert, saying that the ceasefire has held well with Pakistan, but the neighbour's support to terror infrastructure and terror groups was still persistent. Vishnu Som reports.
Our northern borders with China are stable but remain unpredictable. And there's been a noticeable build-up of Chinese forces in the eastern sector. The key message of the Army Chief at his annual press conference.
I shall take the northern borders first. I would say the situation is stable and under control, yet unpredictable.
Significantly, India has now completed the process of strategic rebalancing. In other words, positioning enough soldiers on the China front and ensuring that they are completely supported to wage war if required. For now, 5 of 7 key issues linked to disengagement of Chinese soldiers in Ladakh have been addressed, and more military and diplomatic talks continue.
You are aware of the talks, ongoing talks, wherein we have been able to resolve 5 out of the 7 issues that were on the table. And we are continuing to talk both at the diplomatic as well as the military level. In terms of our preparedness levels, they remain of a very high standard. We have adequate forces, we have adequate reserves in each of our sectors to be able to effectively deal with any situation or contingency. You are also aware of the strategic reorientation or the rebalancing that we undertook some time back. I must mention that it is complete in every respect.
In a first, the Army Chief said women in the force would be free to join artillery regiments. This is the induction of women in combat roles and a major step forward in integrating women into the force in critical roles.
Commissioning of women officers in the regiment of artillery. Now, this is something which we have decided we must do, and this proposal has been forwarded to the government, and we hope that this will be accepted.
The General also spoke about disruptive new technology in military warfare, evidenced by what we are seeing in Ukraine. The Army is looking closely at what weaponry it will field in the future. Vishnu Som for NDTV.
From climate justice to issues like food, fuel and fertilizer crisis that have hit the developing world, the most, India hopes to emerge as a voice of the global south in its year of G20 presidency. So India is hosting 120 countries for the Voice of the Global South Summit, with Prime Minister Modi stressing that the developing countries should shape the emerging global order. More details in this report.
Of the leadership.
In its year of G20 presidency, India wanting to emerge as a voice of the global south, the developing world that continues to be sidelined on global platforms. India is hosting 120 countries on a virtual format over 2 days in an initiative to collate their ideas and take it forward to the G20 summit that it will host in September. From the fallouts of the Ukraine war, that has created a food, fuel and fertilizer crisis impacting the developing world badly, to the climate crisis and the shortchanging of the poorer countries by the richer nations on climate finance. Prime Minister Modi inaugurated the summit by highlighting this point.
The global south have the largest stakes in the future. 3/4 of humanity lives in our countries. We should also have equivalent voice. Hence, as the 8-decade-old model of global governance slowly changes, we should try to shape the emerging order. Excellencies, most of the global challenges have not been created by the global south, but they affect us more. We have seen this in the impact of COVID pandemic, climate change, terrorism, and even the Ukraine conflict. The search for solutions also does not factor in our role or our voice.
Heads of state or government of 10 other countries joined the Prime Minister on the virtual platform for the opening session. The summit has been split into various ministerial sessions from finance, environment, education, energy and a foreign ministers meeting.
The voice of the global south needs to set its own tone. Together, we need to escape the cycle of dependency on systems and circumstances which are not of our making.
Though there are several smaller multilateral platforms like SAARC, ASEAN, BRICS, there are at least two big ones like the G77 and the NAM that try to represent the voice of the developing world. However, the global agenda has always been dominated by the G7 or G20 groupings of the most powerful economies of the world. It is in this backdrop that India believes this initiative is necessary and does not mean to undermine other platforms.
What we are doing under Voice of Global South Summit has for you to insinuate that that in any way means a reduced significance of India's role, active involvement, proactive participation in NAM or even G77 for that matter, I don't think would be correct.
The list of invited countries, though, may have some notable omissions like Pakistan and China. In New Delhi, Maha Siddiqui for NDTV. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi's security, the highest in the country, was breached today during his roadshow in Karnataka's Hubballi by a teen. This is the second breach in the Prime Minister's security in just over a year. In January 2021, while on his way to address a political rally in Punjab, the Prime Minister was stuck on a flyover in Punjab's Patinda for around 20 minutes.
A big security breach at Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Karnataka roadshow, when this teen carrying a garland and apparently trying to felicitate Prime Minister jumped onto the road suddenly and managed to get within an arm's length of him. He was intercepted at the last minute and whisked away by the Prime Minister's security. The Prime Minister accepted the garland and kept it on the roof of his SUV. It is not known yet how the teen managed to get so close to the Prime Minister in an area that is expected to be thoroughly sanitized.
This is not a security breach. He went forward to give the garland. He's simply a fan.
The Prime Minister has a 5-layer security, and the outermost layer of the security is the responsibility of the state police. But this was somehow a slip-up.
Last year, this security breach in Punjab, where the Prime Minister was caught in traffic on a flyover in Punjab, while on his way to address a political rally, had caused a major political conflict between the BJP and the then ruling Congress, and the matter reached the Supreme Court.
As the Bombay-ruled BJP government is battling strong allegations of corruption And in the poll-bound state of Karnataka, we are looking at top BJP leaders from Delhi making visits back to back here in the state of Karnataka. The latest, of course, is Prime Minister Narendra Modi. It was just about last week. We went on to see Home Minister Amit Shah and then JP Nadda as well. So this is going to continue is what we hear from the top BJP sources. Also, one major reason being trying to reinforce that confidence in the people of Karnataka. Only reason being because there is a strong anti-incumbency wave against the BJP government. In Bengaluru with Kumar Shrija for NDTV.
Retail inflation fell to a one-year low of 5.72% in December, chiefly due to the softening of prices of food items. December is the second consecutive month in which retail inflation has come within the RBI's tolerance band of 4 to 6%. The inflation in rural areas, though, remained higher than urban areas. And now to our special ground report from Assam's Kaziranga, home to the rare one-horned rhinos. After a gap of 45 long years, there's been zero poaching in Kaziranga. How was this feat achieved? Ratandeep Chaudhary gets us details.
No poaching incident at Assam's Kaziranga National Park, home to over 2,500 endangered one-horned rhinos in 2022 and only 2 in 2021. How was this achieved in a park was notorious for rhino poaching incidents? The answer is electronic surveillance, thermal sensors, camera traps, night vision cameras, handed over to the Forest Department and this team of crack commandos of Assam Police.
These men are part of Assam's elite commando battalion who all these years have fought dreaded insurgents during heights of militancy, and now they are playing a key role in fighting the poachers, arresting them and even eliminating the poachers at Kaziranga National Park.
Last year we have arrested at least 58 poachers, rhino poachers, and 4 persons found dead.
The situation now is a far cry from just a few years ago, when rhino poaching was at its peak at Kaziranga.
We shared photographs, names, movement, and so many other inputs on each and every case. And as a result, we actually cracked down on many wildlife crimes.
Inside the national park, these men of the Rhino Protection Force have been given the responsibility of making sure that the poachers don't get any space within the national park. They're armed with sophisticated weapons and also have a canine unit which helps them to track any poacher if they sneak inside Kaziranga.
With camera person Sanjay Chakravarti, in Kaziranga, Ratandeep Chaudhary for NDTV.